Welcome to the Elder Law Growth Podcast. Nobody should pass away without a solid plan in place, and everyone should be able to age with dignity. That is why we are on a mission to help elder law and estate planning firms grow their practices online so that they can create a lasting legacy for families everywhere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to this week's episode of the Elder Law Growth Podcast. As always, your host, Dan Hafner here, welcoming you into this week's episode. Today's topic is this: lead follow-up best practices. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about, this is a very broad subject, but I'm going to try to do my best to kind of fit it all into a framework for you guys. And we're going to talk about lead follow-up and the best practices. So this is always in terms of digital marketing and the online space, right? So from the various digital assets that you have as a business, as a firm out there in the world, this would include your Facebook page, Facebook Messenger, right? This would include your website. This would include any other firm boards or practice boards, the NALA site, anything that you are listed on where people can contact you through any kind of other directories or anything like that, right? Now, there might be other things that you have, such as local newspaper ads or TV commercials, or like the list goes on and on and on, right? So the more hooks, right, the more possible assets you have out in the digital space and the non-digital space, the more potential leads or prospective clients that can contact your firm, right? If you have a big billboard on the side of the road with your website or your phone number in, that's a possibility for people to get in touch with you as well. So really kind of thinking through the net that you have out there, right? Through your website, through directories, through Facebook, through other online channels, through offline channels, all of those, right? So now, obviously, there are going to be different response times for every different way. There's only so many ways that people can contact you, right? They can either pick up the phone and call you, they can message you on Facebook, they can comment on one of your Facebook pages, or they could walk into your office. This might not be a possibility as COVID's still kind of wrapping up here in the States, but in some states, I should say, but they could walk in, they can call, or they can submit some kind of online form, right? So obviously the first two, phone calls and walk-ins, are very self-explanatory, right? Those people are greeted with either a phone call, or if they leave a voicemail, that's followed up very, very promptly, hopefully. Or when they walk in, they literally stay until they get, in contact with someone or whatever the case might be. And then they're moved along inside of your consultation process. The online piece is one that a lot of people, and a lot of lawyers particularly, really kind of struggle with. So today we're going to talk about some of the best practices for this, right? Because sometimes people can get ahead of themselves. They can get ahead of themselves and have too many things inside of their website, or like a chat bot set up, or, the Facebook things. And if you're a smaller firm, it might get overwhelming to handle all of these, right? It might not be overwhelming, but it also, there's so many more ways that potential people can fall through the cracks, right? Somebody sends you a message on your Facebook page and you don't notice it for 3 weeks because you just forget to check it, right? Or someone inquires through your website through a contact form, but for whatever reason, the email goes to your spam or it goes to your inbox and you just completely miss it because you are too busy doing business building activities, right? So the first recommendation I have is to actually, we're going to do this two different ways. So if you are the sole practitioner, if it's all up to you to manage your influx of prospective clients and or leads, is to set up tasks, set up any kind of reminders, any kind of system that you possibly can, to where you'll be notified right away that someone has filled out a contact form or tried to get in touch with you in whatever way possible, right? So this is very simple. You don't need any kind of fancy schmancy software for any of this, even though it is, there are things out there for this. But if you're just starting out trying to do this, okay, what do I need to check every single day? I need to check my website contact form. I need to check my Facebook pages. And boom, that's it. Okay, then I move on to the next things, right? Now, if you are at a little bit of a bigger place, you have other people that can handle this for you. Obviously, you put someone in charge of all of this. You put someone in charge of monitoring any kind of the beginning of the pipeline of contact forms in the digital space, right? So even I would highly recommend putting one person in charge of all of this, right? Whether it's an admin person or your marketing head or a marketing legal assistant or whatever the case might be, someone who's responsible for managing and contacting back all of these people. So we're going to get back to contacting back in a second here, but the key is to make sure that no one falls through the cracks, right? You never really know when the next opportunity could come through, right? If you have a website that you're not doing SEO for, it might be harder for people in your local area to find that. And in that case, you start getting complacent, getting a little bit lazy with checking it. And next thing you know, you look in a month and you got 4 people that contacted you through your website, but they never called you. They never walked in. They just contacted you that way. And those are 4 opportunities that you missed out on, right? So there are really, really cool tools out there that can do, I highly recommend automation for this. If you don't have someone else to help you with this, or even if you do have someone to help you out with this, they can get complacent. They can, forget about things. They can, get sidetracked with other projects and whatnot. So automation is really, really the key here. There's a bunch of different automation tools you can look out there on the internet to find, and that will automatically send you emails, or a lot of websites have the contact form set up to that will actually alert you to your email, so you can turn on your phone notifications. You can set reminders. There's a whole bunch of different things that you can do. The key is to be notified when you're getting digital online leads. So one of the ways we do this inside of our firm is that we set up automation to notify our clients when there are people opting into their Facebook ads, to their either like a guide download that they're having, or a webinar registration, or an automated webinar, right? So as soon as someone is entering that information, they could be 10 miles away from your physical location, right? But through the magical powers of the internet, as soon as they fill out that form and click submit, there's an automated email that is sent to our client firm notifying them that this person either downloaded their resource, opted into their webinar, downloaded their thing, whatever the case might be. So that's step 1. So they're notified, nothing is slipping through the cracks. It's all stored in a spreadsheet. It's all clean. It's, names are captured, emails captured, phone numbers are captured. It's all captured and it's all notified. So that way, nothing is slipping through the cracks, because that is the single biggest Achilles heel we see time after time after time inside of firm after firm after firm, is that it's great. You can have 60 people contact you in a day, but if you don't know they're contacting you, it's as good as nothing, right? So the next piece is, okay, once you figure out, okay, we got this problem solved, we're getting notified, or I'm checking these things daily, whatever the case might be, how do we, what's the best practices for following up with people, right? As quickly as possible is the best advice I can give on this, right? So we try to tell our clients at least a window of 5 to 15 minutes is really the key, and the sooner the better, right? And it depends on what they're actually opting into or downloading or contacting you regarding. But, we're busy human beings. Everyone's busy doing something. They're on their phone 1 minute, they're talking to their kids the next minute, they're driving the next minute. There's 100 million different things going on in our minds all day long. So it's very, very easy for someone to be like, oh, I see this, I want to contact them. And then 5 minutes later, they don't even remember that they did it, right? Especially, older clientele, or, people who are just busy with 10 different jobs and kids and all kinds of different stuff. So quick follow-up is the best, right? At least calling, sending a response email. This is a good way to build in automation for your company as well, to have automated response emails. You can set this up very, very easily through a service like Mailchimp, right? Someone opts into something and Mailchimp can have you send automatic response emails, so it looks like you're actually there. You can delay these by 5 minutes. It's very, very simple to do, but makes your professional online image that much more strong, right? So even if you are in the middle of a 3-hour meeting and you can't get to that person in 5 minutes, there's an automated email that sends on your behalf automatically and makes it look like you're actually paying attention and you're there. So delegating this stuff to technology and automation is another key, right? Now, the other piece here is a lot of firms stop there. They stop with the one follow-up call, of one follow-up email. They leave a voicemail or they talk to the person, they're not interested, or whatever the case might be. So that's a very short game to play, right? It's a very churny, that's not really a good word to use, a churn and burn type strategy, right? You just constantly have people, opting into your stuff or finding your website or calling you, and then you don't really do anything with that after. Hey, are you interested in working with us? Well, I don't know. And okay, great. And then you never contact them again. That's not a winning strategy, right? In the sales world, they actually say that the average sale takes anywhere from 5 to 13 follow-ups before someone will actually buy something. Now, this is like obviously across the board when it comes to buying something that's $7 or $70,000, right? It's just an average number that they've accumulated over time. The average person takes 5 to 13 contacts with a business or a company or a person or a name or a brand or whatever before they actually buy. So if you're just doing 1 to 2 quick follow-ups, a quick phone call, a quick email, are you really putting yourself in a position to hit that number? No, you're not, right? So there's a long game inside of this. Now, there are certain laws you have to comply with, and I know every different state has different board laws and all this stuff. So take all this with a grain of salt. But adding people who enter your online world into your newsletter is the best practice that you can ever get into, right? So whether you have people that are opting in through a Facebook ad or on your website, or they're calling you, they're requesting a consultation, they're messaging you on Facebook, whatever the case might be, all of these different nets, and remember from we talked about earlier, all the different hooks in the nets that are out there should all funnel down into one thing, which is your list, right? Your master email list, or whatever the case might be. A lot of people just use it as a newsletter list, right? And the beautiful thing about that is, and a lot of people have qualms, well, like, well, they didn't really, say that they wanted to be communicated with me. And I get it. Again, this is all different. It differs by state. So if your state requires different things, obviously follow the laws there. But as long as you provide people with the option to unsubscribe or opt out of communications with you, there's really nothing wrong with it. And you're never really going to run into any issues with it. So that being said, this is a great opportunity to play that long game, right? To get in front of your prospective clients, the people who want to work with you and that you want to work with, and that you can actually help with your product and service as an estate planning and elder law attorney. You just have to get in front of them more, right? Because your competition in the same city might be doing that. And they're in a better position by following up with someone 10 times than you are following up with someone twice, right? So whether it's email, whether it's text messaging, whether it's phone calls, obviously you need to get people's permission to do all this. I'm not saying just go do it. But once you can build this system, whether it's automated or whether you have one of your firm members doing it, all the time, or they can do it through automation, whatever the case might be, doing this consistently and doing this in a logical and systematic manner will yield better results over the long term, right? So there's a mixture of the short game of following up with someone very, very quickly, getting them on the phone, getting a response email, making sure that they're acknowledge that they chose to get information from you, not that they're followed up with a week from now and they're like, oh yeah, I remember doing that. Well, no, I never called you guys. Oh yeah, you did, sir. No, I didn't. And then it just doesn't lead anywhere, right? So this quick follow-up within 5 to 15 minutes is essential, right? And then having all of your hooks out there, every single person, every single email, every single prospective client who enters your world through the online and offline space, ultimately being funneled down into your master email list so they can be consistently communicated with, and you're exposed to your brand, exposed to your story, exposed to your assets and you as a person and a lawyer, right? So those are really the main things that we talk to our clients about. And obviously, if you would like any more additional help with this, you can check us out at bambiz.net. The key thing is combining the short game with the long game, right? You got to make sure that you have short follow-up, you have long follow-up, and I highly encourage you to look into automation if you have not already. There's a bunch of different software out there. There's all kinds of things like Zapier, like Intercom, Mailchimp, ConvertKit, Constant Contact, all these different types of software out there that's normally not that expensive, but the return that it gives you it really makes a difference. We've seen it time and time again. It really makes a difference when there's a systematic and professional method of follow-up. It leads to better results, and it's over the long term. You can't really expect these results very, very short term. There's a common saying: people that you talk to today are going to be your customers three months from now, right? Very, very rarely will you have someone just walk into your office to set up a estate plan and drop $10,000 that day. Like it's very, very long shot happen, right? It's just not gonna happen. If it does, good for you. Like, you don't need to be listening to this podcast. You're on to better stuff. You know what I mean? But consistently keeping that in mind, knowing that, okay, the people we contact, the people we get in front of today are going to end up being our clients 3 to 6 months down the line. And always keeping that pipeline up will make sure that there's no gaps, there's no failures in, well, where are our next clients coming from? It's not happening. Well, remember when you did bad follow-up for 6 months, right? Like that's why there's no one available in a buying position right now. Okay. So keeping all of these up, remembering eventually every contact that you get should make it to your master list, whether it's done manually, whether it's done automatically, whatever the case might be. These are some of the best follow-up practices that we tell our clients about. And I hope you can implement these inside of your firm. And it doesn't have to be all at once. It can be over time. And if you have any other, questions about what to use for automation or delegation, I'm always open. You can email me directly, dan@bambiz.net, and I'd be more than happy to point you in the right direction of any of those assets. So that is all for this week on the Elder Law Growth Podcast. As always, I appreciate you guys joining. And I will come at you next week. Hope you tune in. Please review us and share us. And thank you very much.